Satsuma.
A Satsuma gets hungry in his sleep. Does our Kevin, or whatever his name was?
That friend of your mother's, he does like his snacks, doesn't he?
Oh, right. An apple is a terrible snack.
It was a Satsuma.
No, but there was also an apple in the dressing
Oh
gown
shit, so there
earlier in
was,
the
that's
episode.
right.
Come on, Danny, get
Fine.
your facts straight.
Fine. Yeah, there was. I apologise.
My problem with apples as a snack is snacks need to be protein dense. Because otherwise, they won't fill you up, and you'll just want another snack in no time at all.
That's the
Then
point.
it's just empty calories. That's the problem, is that they need to be protein dense. And yet, apples have no protein in them whatsoever.
To be fair, I don't want to be full when I have a snack.
Well, no, full is perhaps the wrong word, but satiated. You want to be satisfied that you're no longer hungry.
I've got... Yeah. Okay, fine.
But like a handful of nuts or something that has enough protein in it to tide you over until tea or whatever. But an apple, you'll just be hungry again in 20 minutes.
Jesus Christ, I feel as if I'm playing Skyrim or something. A handful of nuts, and that keeps you alive for like 5 hours or something like that. It's like, if I'm going to have a snack, I'm going to eat shit that's not good for me and will do me harm in the long run. That's the whole point.
But that is the whole point of snacking, is to do oneself harm.
Exactly.
To eat biscuits and chocolate and do oneself harm. Yeah.
Yes. But we're going off on a tangent.
We are almost immediately. What are we doing today, Dan?
We are doing Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 1, The Christmas Invasion. It takes place at a specific time of the year. I'll let you guess.
A time that Danny hates.
And it was written by Russell T Davies. It was directed by James Hawes, and it's starring David Tennant, Billy Piper, Penelope Wilton, Noel Clarke, and Camille Coduri.
Indeed it is. Speaking of Camille Coduri, I love Jackie. She's great in these
do.
episodes, isn't she? She's
as
a
well.
really good character. You completely understand her motivations. Every decision she makes seems justified. And on the other hand, since we've started slagging Rose off on this podcast, she's become almost unbearable.
Yeah.
A lot of the decisions she makes and how she speaks to Jackie and how she speaks to Mickey, it's like, oh my god, you're horrible.
Yeah. I'm sort of, because I didn't really sort of, I have companions that I know that I really like I really liked Martha, and I really liked Donna. I like Donna like really specifically because I like the sort of friendship dynamic.
Yeah, I just want a mate.
You just want to mate. Oh, Catherine Tate's so fucking funny, man.
Oh god, yeah.
But we'll get to that.
The slogan of this show: "We'll get to that."
You know, one of our loyal patrons calculated that it would take about 2 years to complete season 2 to season 12, and that was a date to you. So
is that without breaks for sleeping and eating?
Yeah. Tune in.
Tune in. We've got so much Doctor Who to get through.
And that's if we don't do other shows, which we definitely will at some point.
Yes, 100%. A show will come out and be like, oh, a new season of this has come out. We better talk about, like, Better Call Saul, season 6 or whatever, that's going to come out. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah. Oh, holy shit. So much to do, so little time. But anyway, do you have an opening statement, my friend?
I do. Doesn't Boris look tired?
We need to come together in this time and go to work.
Bloody hell!
Don't go to work. See, that's
right. I know. We do talk about politics on this show, but we try to keep it fairly non-partisan. But bloody hell!
Come on
now, Boris. Jesus Christ, you dick.
Come on.
Anyway,
Bozza,
would you like my actual opening statement?
Yes, I'd love to.
David Tennant's here. Mickey's got some backbone. It's Christmas. Woohoo! That's my actual opening statement.
Are you sure that's not the synopsis? The first story with David Tennant, as well as another great one-off villain with a powerful message about the power we place in our leaders.
It's the thing I particularly like about the power we place in our leaders, that weird message it's got with the big Torchwood gun, is reminds me of a quote from Spider-Man. It's the idea of don't give a baby a gun, It's not because the baby wants to kill people. It's because the baby doesn't know what a gun does.
Yeah.
It doesn't comprehend the power it actually has. That's what I think is about this episode. Harriet Jones has the power to do a big old space laser, but does she really comprehend what that means?
Yep.
Does she really comprehend what that allows, what the power that actually gives her?
Exactly. It's the big question with Nikki Campbell.
Yeah.
No one will know who that is.
I don't know who that is. It's Nikki Campbell.
You know that show, The Big Questions?
No.
That panel show where they invite people on, they talk about issues, and Nikki Campbell hosts it.
I sort of recognise this bloke. What's the
God's
show
sake,
called?
I feel like James Acaster. Like he referenced a guy called Peter Gabriel on Would I Lie to You, and no one understood what that meant. I didn't understand it.
Oh, I'm aware of The Big Questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, the title is utterly atrocious. So I've never really thought to actually learn the title because it immediately leaves your brain. But I'm aware of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, but never mind. Never mind. Let's move on. A great quote is, "He's not my boss, and he's certainly not turning this into a war."
Yes, I like that.
That's a great fucking quote. I love that quote. But yeah, that's me. That's me done for this episode. No.
One thing I do like throughout this episode is the sort of modesty that Harriet Jones has.
Yeah.
About like, hello, I'm Harriet Jones, Prime Minister. Yes, I know. We've gotten so used in real life and in films and TV to seeing prime ministers, presidents, kings, people just be like, "Hi, you should know who I am.
Yeah.
Don't you know who I am?" So it's refreshing to see a politician that's a human being rather than some kind of bizarre experiment that's just happened.
Yeah, she's so humble that she forgets that everyone knows who she is, and like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm just a faithful backbencher, like that. Just such a sort of simplicity, and I think people like that. I think people like sort of just honest people who have their convictions, but don't go beyond that and don't have an ego in any way. And I think that's why it's so heartbreaking at the end of this episode when she makes that decision, and it's like, holy shit. It's like, because it fits within her ethics, but at the same time it's like, yeah, but you just committed murder in a very big scale, so it's good. It's good stuff.
I know exactly what you mean, because it in a funny way it makes sense to do that. If you're the kind of person that would be okay with killing people on that scale, or be okay with a nuclear war, say, or whatever it might be, it kind of makes sense to launch the Torchwood laser. She has a point. The Doctor isn't always there.
Yeah.
They kind of will one day probably have to defend themselves.
Yeah.
And yet, it does make it all that more heartbreaking, which is like, oh, this is a horrible decision, but I've got to make it. And the Doctor just condemns her completely.
And she says, "I'm sorry" as well. Which is it's like, and it's like he is the wanderer that just shows up now and again, and he he saves the day and stuff like that. But it's like, I like that in the Russell T Davies area they had answers to when he's not there, like with the Sarah Jane adventures and Torchwood and things like that. So it's like, yeah, he isn't always there, and it's like, but he comes and he sees us do things that are immoral, but in defense, and it's like, because he's so set in his judgments and his righteousness, he just condemns that immediately. It's like, that's easy for you to say. All you have to do is quote the Lion King, get your hand chopped off, and just save the day. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting stuff. It sort of turns the mirror back on the hero for it's been for many years.
I know exactly what you mean. One of my favourite parts of this was how Mickey effortlessly hacked into the military. Look, Rose, I've hacked into the military. They're tracking your spaceship. Oh, are they, Mickey? Wow. Christ.
To be fair, we got an answer for that. I mean, the password is Buffalo.
If Buffalo, it overrides everything. That's the answer for that one.
And they haven't changed it since the missiles got overridden. No one's went, should we change this? Should we? Fuck's sake. Why does the Doctor react to blood control as if it's a film from the 80s?
Yeah.
Blood control. Oh, I haven't seen blood control for years.
By the way, do you know any other actor that can do that with their voice? David Tennant's voice does this thing that I don't know how to articulate what it is, but his pitch varies wildly.
It goes so
Almost
high.
every single line he says.
Blood control. Oh, I haven't seen blood control for years. It's like I can't do that naturally. I can't just pretend. I can't do that as if that's the way I do it. I have to go. You should see the faces that I'm making. It's so
I'm
strange.
imagining a Punch and Judy style grimace.
Oh yeah, you fucking. That's me when I'm sleeping. I just sleep with that face, that horrible face. I've got a question.
Oh, fuck off! That's too funny.
I've got a question. Do the Sycorax have translation software? If he only speaks Sycoraxic, the universal language of the Sycor, there's no other languages on Sycorax or wherever they're from. Do they have translation software? Because if he only speaks Sycoraxic, then how can he understand them?
I suppose they must have some kind of a translator. I remember from when I was younger reading bits of beta canon in the Doctor Who annual 2007 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The Sycorax ship was, it's like just an asteroid with rockets strapped to it, basically.
Oh.
They found an asteroid and were like, right, well, this'll do, and strapped some rockets to it. And that was what they were going with. So I suppose they must have just been like, right, well, what are the basics we need for space travel to travel and wage war on the universe? We need some big rockets, we need a translator, and that'll do. That's what they went with.
That's really interesting. So it's like they just found. Oh my god, that would be like, I don't know, like attaching like wheels to like a rock or something and just going, there you go,
Yeah.
that's your car. It's like that's kind of ingenious, I think.
It is kind of ingenious in a strange way. It's though I do have a question.
Yeah.
Who needs Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner when you've got a bloke with a laptop?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need Amy Adams to go,
No,
this is
no.
a weird language, I don't know what this sounds like.
No,
Well,
no,
that's really interesting. Then she spends 2 hours figuring out what the heptapods are saying. You've got a bloke with a laptop instead.
What is that? Translation software. Okay, no questions needed then. Where did we...
It's a universal translation software.
I mean, they've had dealings with aliens before. The general... no, not the general. The major made it clear that they know what Martians look like, which is true. Because
Yeah, the Ice Warriors?
The Ice Warriors,
that's the word,
yep.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yep, UNIT had dealings with them. So, I mean, maybe there's an alien out there that has a sort of common dialect with the Sycorax. I don't
Maybe.
know. Maybe.
Although, I have to say, that's something that really does frustrate me about... Like, oh no, Martians look completely different. It's like, yeah, but you tell me all Martians look exactly the same? It's one of
Yeah,
the things
that's a
that
good
bugs
point.
me about, like, Star Trek, is that every single Vulcan you ever see looks essentially identical.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's no diversity at all in the population. It's just. I know it's a very small, petty thing to get hung up on, but it really gets me. It annoys me. So maybe these are Martians, and we just don't realise it. You dickhead general or whatever he was.
I mean, I think the reason that the alien sort of species are sort of monolithically made into one thing is to save time, really.
Yes.
So yes, we are one of 80 different variations of Sycorax on the planet Sycoraxic. I am the Gulgansk branch. It's like yeah, okay, we get it. It's like your world. It's hard. You have to strike a good balance between world building and telling an actual story, and you only have
But then
50 minutes to do it.
But then they sort of managed to, I suppose it's kind of alpha canon in a strange way, but they did it with Sarah Jane Adventures. And
Yeah!
The Slitheen were a family of Raxacoricophalapatorians.
And then there's the
And then the Blathereen were another
Blatherines,
family,
yeah.
and they looked slightly different and behaved differently and all this sort of stuff.
So how many families are there? Because families aren't the same as like,
And are they all mafias?
yeah, and because families aren't the same as like, races. You have like
No.
like millions of families within like a race or an ethnicity. So what is there? Are there ethnicities of Raxacoricophalapatorius?
I have no
I
idea.
find that kind of interesting. But we'll never know.
Would you like to be introduced to some Doctor Who bullshit from Beta, the Gamma background canon that nobody is actually sure where this has originally come from?
Yes, please.
Well, you know how the Doctor always says, "Am I ginger?"
Yep.
Supposedly, this is because ginger Time Lords have special powers.
Bollocks.
Are you aware of this?
No.
And this is a piece of beta canon I've picked up along the way, which has like been rattling around my head. But yeah, ginger Time Lords hold a different rank or something. Like they can be like almost prophecy givers.
What?
And they can see into the time vortex or something. I'm sure we'll get furious letters from Russell T Davies telling me exactly how I'm wrong, but it's something like that. Yeah.
That's like that. Remember that chef thing I said? The Time Lord. Who spelled
Yeah.
THYME as in time. The spice or the herb.
Yeah.
Is it a herb or a spice?
It's a herb. A spice comes from the seeds. A herb comes from not the seeds.
All right. A car is a spice. Or a herb. I've forgotten already. It's a good demonstration at the end where the Doctor says, "Don't you think she looks tired?" Of the sort of fickle way that not just politicians but like famous people come and go. So once a rumour catches, it's like, that's it. It's done. You know?
Yeah, completely. It's like a proto cancel culture. Because I mean, it wasn't pre-Twitter, but it was around sort of the dawn of Twitter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2006. Twitter was 2006, 2007, or something like that. It's kind of is a pre-cancel culture.
Well, I mean, Facebook sort of started by like misogynistically rating on women in
it did,
university. So that, you know, it's as if like, if in hindsight it's like a cruel sort of website basing people on their faces becomes a cruel website basing people on their interesting.
I wonder if we could have predicted that at all. I wonder if there's a way to... It's something that I think I'd rediscover every sort of 6 months or so. I'm like, I should download the Facebook app again. Because I have Facebook for like a Lewis Brindley Facebook page and a Shouting Into the Void Facebook page and all that sort of stuff. And like, obviously Facebook are partnered with Instagram and WhatsApp and all that nonsense. And I've got all the other things, but Facebook, the app, every now and then I download it, scroll through it for a bit and think, this is just making me sad and confused. And then I delete the app, and then 6 months later I'm like, maybe I'm just using it wrong, so I download it again, and then I go through the same thing again, and yeah.
I mean, it's not for everyone. I have to say, I hate how useless the Doctor is in these regeneration cycles. It's like, because we see some Time Lords that just get shot and then just wake up instantly as their new...
Yes.
It's like,
yes. For example, was it when Stephen Moffat was trying to be very clever and... What was it? The Time Lord General got shot and then woke up as a different person and they were just like there, fine.
Yeah.
In the Beast
I believe...
run... Oh God, what was he?
I believe it was... he regenerated into a woman.
Yeah.
And yeah. And she said... That was the only time I was a man in that last body or something like that. But yeah, she was fine. She was up and she was like rearing to go. She had her gun ready. She was like, yeah, let's go catch the Doctor. It was like, the Doctor fucking, he lazes about, he sleeps. I mean, he has to, or he ends up in a, you know, he saves a dinosaur, or he has to discover what food he likes through fish fingers and custard. It's like, is he just really shit? Every other Time Lord is like
shit. Is that what we've figured out here?
Maybe he's like chief dramatist on Gallifrey. He was like the best.
Like extreme man flu. It's like, oh, I feel really ill. Oh no.
Yeah, it's like, come on, Doctor, you need to go to your work. No, I'm still regenerating. I'm in my regeneration cycle. Oh dear. You know, but that's. You know, get the fandom onto that. Work that one out. I love the unit stuff.
Yeah,
it's
who doesn't
so
love a bit
good.
of unit stuff? I like this idea of science leads.
Yeah,
it's like science. We'll have a bit of science, we do, and then also they're the army. It's a strange concept.
Yeah,
but if you just don't really think about it too much, it's quite enjoyable in a funny way.
And it's it makes everything more immersive. because it feels as if it's like not just, you know, this time traveling alien fighting off monsters. It's like it's human beings doing it on the ground, sort of thing, which makes I love all that stuff. Makes it really interesting.
I think that's sort of the weak point of like episodes set in the extreme future, and they're really unrelated to our current life. Is that like you need to have a companion there because there needs to be someone there that goes, "Oh my God, Doctor! They're talking about Earth."
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what I mean? There needs to be someone there that says that. But I think in these sort of modern day London type retellings, it's like, oh well, I can see that's a street. I've been there. I know what that place is. Do you know what I mean? It grounds it a lot better.
Yeah, and I think as a sort of like media wise, we've sort of grown out of the pointing out the obvious sort of thing. There are really good TV shows now that don't need to say anything, and you just know exactly what's going on. But back then, it was just genuinely, oh my goodness, it's a threat, and I'm pointing out what it is and what it's doing.
Yes,
Because even though you can see it, you still need me to tell you. It's like...
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I've got a question.
Go on.
When they get beamed up to the Sycorax ship, and all those Sycorax are standing about, is that like a parliament of the Sycorax? Is that the crew of the ship? Is it like spectators of a Colosseum? What's going on there?
Well, the big fella made it.
Head honcho, yeah.
Yeah, he made it clear that they're not. That's not the Armada. So it's like it's clearly just a scavenger ship, and maybe a governmental scavenger ship that just is going about. And then it's like, if you find anything, give us a call and we'll come and help you, sort of thing. But they seem to be very interested in blood sports, so I wouldn't be surprised if like every ship had this sort of Colosseum sort of thing, and maybe Sycorax themselves
they are a bit
fight.
sort of quasi Klingon.
Yeah, maybe it's like sort of survival of the fittest type thing. Like maybe once every 2 years, there's a fight between the big fella and another up and comer.
Interestingly enough, that you should say that is actually the case in like Klingon society in like Star Trek. There's a weird episode of Star Trek where Riker he does like an exchange student program where they exchange him with a lieutenant commander or whatever on a Klingon ship, and so he's a Klingon officer for a while.
Uh-huh.
And the weird thing is that it's not only expected but encouraged that if you think you could kill your direct commander in a fight, you should.
Wow.
Because therefore, if you are stronger than them, you should be doing their job, sort of thing.
Wow, does
that make sense?
That's horrible. What if
it's
they're just
horrid.
what if they're just sick that day? What if they're just feeling a bit ill? It's like, oh,
well, a true Klingon warrior wouldn't get sick.
there
That's
you
what
go.
Worf's always going on about, isn't it?
There you go. It's an answer for everything.
Yep.
I've got to say, I love a bit of Mars in some sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's weird because obviously we haven't really been to Mars,
But it feels weirdly homely.
I feel like I know Mars and things that are happening on Mars. It's like, whoa,
The stuff on Mars, bloody hell.
That's pretty close, you know. Because it used to be that Mars was like the beyond. You know, Mars was as far as you could go, and that's where all the spacemen lived.
Yes.
Anyone who because we're time traveling now, anyone who listens to the podcast on Sunday will know exactly why that's hilarious. Why I made that sound, but but Mars is like really close compared to like everything else in Doctor Who. So it's like, yes, they've just passed Mars. Oh shit, they're like 2 minutes away. Fuck.
Yeah.
it's like a lot of my favourite stories in Doctor Who are set on Mars. Like,
Waters of Mars. That's got to be one of my absolute favourites.
Absolutely.
and some of my favourite bits of sci-fi in general are set on Mars. Like, what's that book I always go on about?
Stowaway to Mars. That's what it's called, by John Wyndham.
It's one of my favourite bits of classic sci-fi. Can you guess what it's about?
They go to Mars and then they discover there's a stowaway on board. Hence the title.
Didn't you?
Yeah, that's really good.
Didn't you read a series of books about was it not like Rising Sun or something like that? And it
Red
was
Rising. That was
Red
it.
Rising, yeah, and it's set on Mars, and it's like about
Yeah.
a civil war or something like that on Mars.
Yeah, it's a bit sort of like quasi-America in a strange way.
Right.
Like, it starts off that like a sort of a human colony is set up on all the planets in the solar system, and then all of the money gets paid back to the colony on the moon, who then funnel it back to Earth.
Yeah.
And then they realise, hey, why are we paying all our money back to Earth when we don't really need to be doing that? So then they stage a revolution, and all the planets in the solar system are then independent of the Earth and are instead dependent on the moon for some reason.
Oh.
And it's a bit like the American War of Revolution when they were like, why are we giving all our money to King George when he's just fucking about and we don't need to do anything?
Yeah.
And so that's the exact reason that they sort of break off. And the first book, Red Rising, is about the main character, Darrow. He's like a sort of a miner, and he's like the sort of the lowest of the low class you can be in this rigid caste society. And like they're like all designated colours. Like the mining class, the ultimate bottom of the bottom are called reds, and they have like red hair and red skin, and they have to like mine in the mines, and it's like really difficult, dangerous work. And they talk about like acid vipers.
Oh.
And he briefly mentions that, oh yeah, my uncle hasn't got an arm because an acid viper bit it off.
Oh,
or something
God.
ridiculous like that. But they believe that they are mining in order to colonize the world for humanity to eventually join them. And then Darrow gets like liberated from his underground mining colony, gets taken to above the surface and shown by this rebel group. Actually, humans have already been here for hundreds of years. Everything you've ever been told is a lie.
Fucking hell.
And then he sort of becomes the centerpiece of this revolution. And right, imagine the Hunger Games, but dialed the adultness of it up to 11, which is saying a lot,
Right.
considering the Hunger Games involves like
Yeah, it's pretty
Finnick has
dark.
to prostitute himself to feed his family or something.
Yeah.
But turn that up to 11. Like it's dark as fuck, but it's just a lot of the ideas they come up with about like for example, the pilots in this universe are like I think they're called blues, and they're like like with the reds, their skin and their hair and everything, and their eyes are like blue, and they've got like brain implants that speed up their synapse reflexes and all this sort of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it's like lots of really interesting little bits of sci-fi, and it's a really interesting marriage of like extreme high sci-fi, like there's a colony on Mars and there has been for hundreds of years, but also like this bizarre sort of medieval system.
Yeah.
Of like the people can and do fight with guns, but people sort of don't because it's considered honourable to fight with this specific type of sword.
Yeah.
So it's like a very interesting marriage of like a medieval knights and serfs system and a high sci-fi. I really like the series anyway. If you like sci-fi, you ought to check it out. It's really good. It's really dark though.
Yeah.
So before you go into it, do be aware it's really dark and gory and gross. But if you can stand it and you like sci-fi, it's really, really good.
That's kind of like the Sycorax. I mean, they use like space technology, but yet still have swords, which is kind of
Yes, that was weird.
yeah. Which is, I mean, maybe it's like, yeah, okay, fine. We have to use modern shit to keep up with our enemies, but we'll keep our traditions, sort of thing, which is interesting.
Maybe it's like
The Worf and the Klingons and his Batleth.
and he's
Yeah.
got like a Star Trek phaser that can explode someone's head or whatever, but he's also got a weird two-pointed sword.
That's
That
right.
he wiggles about weirdly.
That makes sense. Well, there you go. I think I'm out of notes.
I think I am also out of notes, Cocker. Have you got a closing statement by any chance?
I do, yes. A Satsuma. No, this is a very good episode. It's a very good sort of setup for Tennant's Doctor. Just when he just comes out of the TARDIS, it's like you're not looking at anyone else at that moment. It's the
Such
strongest.
fantastic stage presence. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the strongest possible way to introduce a Doctor in that way. Yeah, and I'm excited to see what happens next. Oh yeah, and Mickey, you need to move on, man. Stop. Wait.
Yeah, also, we haven't really addressed this at all in this episode.
Mickey actually had a bit of backbone in this episode.
He did.
He was saying stuff like, I mean, if you like, he actually stood up for himself and saying a bit of stuff like,
Well, why am I going to keep waiting around for you? I'm dependable, yeah, sure, but I've got other things I'm meant to be doing. I don't...
He had a bit of a backbone. I quite like that.
He just needs to. He deserves so much better. He's a king. He deserves so much better.
Well, he marries Martha, doesn't he?
He does.
I don't know if he marries Martha, but they get together at the very least in that David Tennant reunion tour.
No, they
When he dies.
they do get married. They do mention that they get married.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. So there you go. It's don't worry, Mickey. Don't worry. Hang in there. It's all going to be okay.
Anyway, my closing statement is: it's a heartwarming story that introduces my all-time fave, David Tennant.
David
So good.
Tennant.
David Tennant. He's really good in everything, from this to Good Omens to... He was good as Kilgrave and Jessica Jones.
was.
Bloody hell. But yeah, he's good in everything. I'm looking forward to his era of stories and companions.
And again, woohoo.
Allons-y.
Allons-y.
God. He doesn't. He says molto bene in a French accent, but he doesn't say allons-y. What the fuck? God's sake.
Right, we've got some credits then, Cocker.
Yeah. David Tennant. That's like Russ from Friends. Do you remember Russ?
Oh, God, yeah. I do remember Russ from Friends.
And it's like, and it says played by some guy, but it's David Schwimmer, folks. Just to let you know. But anyway.
What?
I'm on Instagram at O'Hiram. I'm on Facebook at Daniel K. Actor. I'm on Twitter at Kerzo2000. What are you on, Lewis?
I am on Instagram at Lewis_Brindley. I'm on Twitter at LewisBrindley4. And I have a Facebook page called Lewis Brindley. And also the show has a Facebook page too, which is called Shouting Into the Void. It's about our podcast, if you couldn't have guessed from the title. We've got about 100 followers on there now. It's a really nice little community, so come and check us out. Take a look.
Please do. We are on Podomatic, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we have a YouTube channel, we're on Deezer, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on Amazon Podcasts. We have a PayPal donate button, so anything you can spare, anything at all. It's very difficult times for everyone at the moment. We appreciate that, but anything you have would mean the absolute world to us.
Definitely.
So yeah, we also have Patreon, and we want to thank our wonderful, wonderful patrons. Chloe.
Thank you.
Darius.
Thank you.
Sophie.
Thank you.
Peter.
Thank you.
Aditya.
Thank you.
And of course Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You make this show possible, and we couldn't do it without you.
Indeed, we couldn't indeed. Your support means the absolute world. We are, at the end of the day, just two weirdos that talk drivel for far too long, and nobody seems to have stopped us yet. But we do absolutely love this, and you make this possible, so thank you very much for supporting us.
Definitely. We also have merch. We sell t-shirts, jumpers, tote bags, mugs, stickers, all sorts of things. Anything that tickles your fancy. You can go on to Teespring and Redbubble to have a look, see what floats your boat, and if nothing does, buy something anyway.
Yes, Danny, that is precisely what I was thinking you were going to say.
Oh God, I'm becoming predictable now. Purple rubbers. There you go.
Good.
Didn't expect that.
I did not expect that, no.
Well, there you go. Last but certainly not least, we are partnered with a fantastic company called Number 12 Crochet Avenue, and Lewis has some very, very true things to say about them, all of which are amazing. I got that the wrong way round.
Yeah, you did.
I did. Fuck.
He has some very, very true things to say. Makes it sound like I'm about to start lying. Yes, Number 12 Crochet Avenue is an amazing business run by my amazing wife. She crochets and she's very, very good at it. We're coming up to Christmas now and she's doing something absolutely amazing. I can't tell you what because it's a super hushed secret, but it is Christmas themed and it's amazing. Go and check out her Instagram at Number 12 Crochet Avenue. She is amazing. It is amazing. The page is amazing. The products are amazing. Go and have a look. Thank you very much.
It's amazing. It is. I'm telling you, it is.
Oh, well.
Oh, good. Thank you. So yeah, that was Doctor Who season 2, episode 1.
Indeed, it was.
God,
God, season 2 already. How exciting!
Getting up there.
We are very slowly.
Only 12 seasons to go. No, I'm joking. 11. But yeah, so what's the next episode? I believe it's called New Earth.
I believe it is called New Earth. Yeah.
Yeah. where that beloved villain Cassandra O'Brien returns.
Cassandra O'Brien is not a beloved villain.
The cat villains are kind of interesting.
Yeah,
but
they are.
Cassandra O'Brien is a bit. Yeah, I suppose she's back. Way. Do you know what I mean? I'm not enthused by her presence.
Yeah, that memorable. wait! I've got to say this. They didn't bring back the Slitheen. They didn't bring back the Sycorax. They didn't bring back the ghost children, or the empty children. But what we do need is a trampoline with some lipstick that has a really weird hatred of non, in quotation marks, pure human beings. It's yeah.
It's a weird one,
It
but
is
we'll
a
get to
weird
that
one.
next week.
Yeah, we will. So please join us then, and we shall see you, hear you, Christmassy invade you with robot Santas next time.
Yes, we'll rig your tree up to spin very quickly.
Yes.
Yes. We'll see you then.
Goodbye.